How's it going, everybody? Time for another quick ghost evidence breakdown as we kind of look back at some of the previous videos I've made, and I kind of explain or give the backstories of why I found certain piece of evidence compelling, real, or, explain at least why they stood out to me. This actually comes from my very first video I ever did of this kind when I was working for a little news station in Dallas called CW33, and I pitched this idea come October of, hey, let's do some of the most famous haunted locations around the area, and so the DFW Ghost Stories series was born. This one took place at the Catfish Plantation in Waxahachie, Texas. Just such a cool location. As you can tell, it's an old house, notoriously haunted, great food. If you're ever in the area, you got to check it out. So the first piece of evidence I wanted to look at was doing the old school flashlight test and got a bit of a response.
What we got kind of blew our minds.
Let us know that you're here. I heard you also like ringing that bell in the front. Okay. Okay, thank you.
But it wasn't done yet.
Go ahead and turn that flashlight off for us. Thank you.
So a fun piece of backstory. We weren't expecting anything to happen. We were just messing around. And when that happened, I was doing the shoot with my little brother. He literally just turned around and walked out of the room. So when you hear me going, okay, I've just watched the only other person I'm there with, Jet. Obviously, there's a lot of debate about the flashlight test. Is it just coils heating up, turning off? Because you kind of have to put it right there on the edge. And I definitely understand all that. What I will say is, first of all, this was the first of two times it happened. One of the unfortunate things about doing a news story is that this video had to be 3 minutes long. There was a strict time limit on the video. And so I had to cut the second one. And the second one, I was asking about whether or not she was upset. The ghost that supposedly is there is upset that there's a bar in the restaurant, because the way the story goes, in life she was a total teetotaler. And it came on and went off again. But I just had to cut that for time. I will say I've done another 9 or 10 of these ghost hunts since. I have not had another response like this. I have never had the flashlight come on like this. I've been all over. We took it home that night and we tested it. We tried it, just as much as we could. And this is the only time I've gotten that specific a response of asking a question, it coming on, and then saying, okay, turn it off, and it going off. So that's why this really stood out as compelling to me. Not only then, but especially so now, is that I have actually never experienced it quite like this again. Oh, and a little backstory. The silverware was on the table because supposedly the silverware can get moved as well. The second piece of evidence also needs a little bit of backstory. If you want to see me with very long hair there, we have this camera trained on a door, and it's been going for probably around 35-45 minutes. We had left it alone in there, and this happens.
Didn't catch that, but we did catch something pretty weird instead.
That's right. You can hear something tap the door and see the curtain move.
It was.
See, this really stood out to me, first of all, because if you've ever done something like this and you're sitting through 40 minutes of static footage, nothing changing, when something like that happens, it immediately jumps out at you as, oh my goodness, something happened. And it is really weird when you watch it here. I've got the speed turned out pretty slow here. When you watch the curtain here on the right, something makes solid contact with it and moves this curtain. And this one doesn't move at all. You can see up here, the fan is off. All the doors and windows were closed. And again, it's that impact. You don't see anybody walking around in that room. And so it really does sound like, and the way the story goes is that this bell gets rung sometimes. On the other end is where you would ring the bell. So it just jumped out at me. Nothing happens like this. If it was, a hanging something that would, bounce into it occasionally, it would have happened again. And it did not happen in 40 minutes of footage. I think sometimes that's what makes things remarkable. And it's hard to even portray that in a video, of course, without showing a full 40 minutes. So that's why that one stood out to me. No clue what it could have been. There's definitely room for that to just be something strange, that happened that was far from paranormal. But it jumped out at you. It definitely stands out. It didn't happen before or after. Something else that happened in this house that I didn't get to include, I mentioned earlier, there was a weird tapping noise on this GoPro, and obviously all the footage is lost. But I cut it because it was the first time I'd ever used the GoPro and said, it probably just makes that noise. And after 6 or 7 more investigations of that GoPro, it never made that noise again. So it sounded like something almost tapped on it. So that's the stuff that got left on the cutting room floor because of the 3-minute news limit on it. Unfortunately, like I said, that footage is lost to the annals of history now, so you just have to take my word on it. And I mean, look how long my hair was. You can take my word. A guy with hair that long wouldn't lie to you, right? So thank you guys for watching and kind of giving the backstory, delving deeper, because sometimes, it's so focused on the spooky music and the transitions, and I want to kind of more scientifically, or at least analytically break down what stood out to me about these pieces of evidence. If you're actually following this channel now, no, I don't usually film turtles getting run over by trains, but I'm glad that you're here from that. I might do a follow-up video on that pretty soon, so stick around. All the stuff I've made so many things in my life, and filming a turtle getting run over by a train from my car is, of course, the first thing that's going to get more than, a couple hundred, maybe a few thousand views. That's YouTube. That's the internet for you.